Right. So in the last session, I guess. So in the last part, we discussed about Jenkins, right? So in the Jenkins, we saw how the jobs work and whatever, what do you say, workflow we need to implement, like what are the things that needs to happen after the build is done, after testing needs to be done, after release, after deploy. We got to know all those commands can be integrated in the Jenkins part. And now Jenkins was solving the problem with respect to automation. I said, if the process is repeatable, then we start using Jenkins to automate it. Okay, that's what we discussed from the Jenkins point of view. Now I'll talk about the next problems which come from the what you say guys, operational point of view. So in the Jenkins also, it was only making sure that if the changes are happening, it is building and it is giving us respective build, then it is testing us, then it is giving us the test results and all that parts. But now let's imagine your product is completely up and running, it's completely deployed. Now it's deployed in an infrastructure which is very huge. Imagine guys right now. Okay. Imagine that right now your product was ready and your product is responsible, or basically it is running because of all these servers. You have hundreds and thousands of servers with you, which are basically making sure that your product runs. You need web servers, app servers, database servers, XYZ servers. Now all those are these servers. And these servers are powering your application. Now, how am I going to manage this large scale data center? Are you getting the point? Is so I already said your product is completely done, it's completely deployed, now it is running on these servers. Now how am I going to manage these servers? When I'm saying manage these servers, in the sense, imagine right now these are one category of servers. This is another category of servers. And maybe this is one more category. So now sometimes what you might want to perform tasks only specific to some servers. Or you want to get the task done on entire group of servers, or multiple groups, all servers. What kind of activities? Any activity you imagine from the operations point of view. Imagine that you might want to perform some kind of installations. Right? Maybe you want to go ahead and manage some services. Maybe you want to manage some files. Maybe you want to manage configurations. Maybe you want to manage permissions. So like this, you got all the operational work I'm trying to talk about. Now imagine, can you use Jenkins in this scenario? Just think. You have 100 plus servers with you. I want you to use Jenkins, and let's say in this 100 plus servers, these are 50 servers. These 50 are your web servers. These 50 web servers are currently running with port number 80. But there is a request saying that next we are going to change our application strategy. So we don't want the web servers to be running on 80. We want it to be running on port number 8090. Imagine how or what kind of approach you can take to do this work with Jenkins. Right? Any approach like we can take with the help of Jenkins. Right? You can do it, but you can't go ahead and say 100 times you'll modify the job and do it. Or 50 times you'll go ahead and modify the job and you can do it. Right? And also a lot of manual steps would be required. So instead, what I'm trying to say is we want to manage this infrastructure in a much more effective way. And that's where concepts called configuration management comes into the picture. In the last part, when we started using this Jenkins, which is continuous integration aspect, right? Which helps you in the more from the automation point of view. Here, I'm not talking from the automation point of view. I'm talking from the configurations point of view. I mean, like, yes, automation is in fact the same thing, right? Reason because now you are changing it to 80 to 90, 80, 90, but in the future it might be changed to 90, 90. Thereafter, some other particular thing. So we want to have a ready-made template kind of thing with us, so that I can use the template and in the future I can easily able to modify the things. For that particular scenario, we cannot use the tools like Jenkins. We have a separate category of tools. Those are called as configuration management tools. So right now, this configuration management tools, they also come under the category called as infrastructure as code tools. Right? Let me show you. So actually, now I said, right, we want to control all of this. Now let's imagine I'm having all these 100 plus servers and I want to manage these 100 plus servers. So at that point of time, what we are going to do is here we'll have a separate server. Imagine right now these 100 servers are there, right? Let's say for timing, just say I'm not considering them as 100, but let's say there are around 3 servers. But imagine that you have like that 100 servers. Right now, here from the terminology point of view, when it comes to configuration management tools, right? Same like how we used in Jenkins, we call them as worker nodes. Master slave configuration, we saw it almost similar. So here it is node 1 or worker node 1, you can call it. We got 100 different nodes. Now these nodes are simple EC2 servers. I mean, like it can be any server, EC2 server, Azure server, Google Cloud server, your local laptop, anything. Now, all these particular servers, 100 plus servers, needs to be managed. Here, we will have a master server. How you had Jenkins master server? Exactly same way. In your configuration management also, you'll be having one central server, or simply we can call it as master. Now, based upon the tool, naming conventions change. So here, in order to manage this configuration aspect, right, we are going to use a tool called as Ansible. So here, what we call them is Ansible master. And these are Ansible worker nodes. Now, what happens in Ansible master is exactly same thing. Like I said, in the Jenkins, you were offloading jobs to your worker nodes. Here in Ansible, you will offload your configurations to the worker nodes. You have 100 different nodes. You said you want to install some web server. You want to modify some particular code. Maybe after that, some kind of restart needs to be happen. So what happens is in your Ansible master, you'll define all those things. Then your Ansible master, it starts communicating with the worker nodes. How? Exactly same thing what we saw. That's it. It simply uses SSH. Right? How SSH works, like I said in the last part, username, and you just go with your, what do you say, IP address, then followed by your PEM key. Right? Okay. Once you update that part, now you need to know how am I going to do the communication from my master to worker node. In the last session, we used the concept called jobs. In job, we went to the build section, we wrote the command, it started executing. In Ansible also, there are two things that you need to be aware of. Ansible ad hoc commands, we call them. This is one way. And Ansible playbooks. Okay, these are the two things that you got inside Ansible. Okay, fine. For timing, just I'll just give you in one pointer word what means what, like why use ad hoc commands and why use playbooks. But later, once you get into practical, you'll get much more idea, like or a deeper idea how they work in the first place. But generally in Ansible, we have two concepts, ad hoc commands and Ansible playbooks. Ansible playbooks. And both are there for what? In order to resolve the complexity involved in the configurations. Simple. So why we are going for configuration management is, like I said, look at your infrastructure, it's very huge. Managing this huge infrastructure is burden. If you want to avoid it, then we will go with the configuration management tools. Now here, ad hoc commands are single task commands. Okay, you can only do one single task at a time, and no reusability. Then you got Ansible playbooks. You can go with multitasking and you can go with reusability. Just remember this part, then you'll see, like once we get into the action, how they work. So whenever you want to execute a single task, you go with this. When you want to go with multiple things, you go with Ansible playbooks. Okay. Now coming to this point, guys. Okay. So when I said ad hoc command and playbooks, right? Both indicate at the end of the day, you're trying to do some task. In Jenkins, we call them jobs. In Ansible, we are calling them as ad hoc commands and playbooks. That's a major differentiation. Okay. Now, where these tasks need to be executed? I mean, like imagine single task or multitask. In which machine you want to execute? You want to execute it on node 1, you want to execute it on node 2, or you want to execute on this set of red box servers, or you want to execute this on blue box servers, or you want to execute it on all servers. Right? Reason because you itself said like I have a complex infra. In that complex infra, where you want to perform the activity is a question mark. That's where Ansible has given you a concept called as inventory. You have one more aspect called as Ansible inventory. Now this inventory, I'll keep it here. It's a simple file, guys. Here I'll write. It's a text file which contains server info like IP address, username, keys, etc. So in the inventory file, you'll keep all the servers which are there with you, their information. Right? Where this inventory file resides is hosts. Okay, this is the file where your entire information about the servers is going to be placed. That's called as inventory file. Right? etc Ansible hosts file. Now within this hosts file, you'll have information like I said, right? I'll just show you like how it looks so that you'll get an idea. You see, guys, as of now, it has given some domain names kind of thing, right? But actually, you can keep your IP addresses, either domain names or IP addresses. And also, the same thing can be updated with, you see, usernames. And also, you can add the keys. You can go with all those things. So here, for us also, exactly same way, we are going to design our inventory file, which is going to reside in this location, which contains the information which is required to connect to the server. Getting the point is, and this inventory where it resides obviously in the master server. Right? So in your master server, we'll be having our inventory file. An example I'll show you. So imagine this node 1 IP address is something like this. Right? So we got all these worker nodes. They have their IP addresses. And obviously based upon the operating system, you know, there will be a different user. So imagine right now, these are all being spinned up from the CentOS. So obviously we know the username would be CentOS as well, right? And based on that, the key, which PEM key you are using in order to communicate with this particular server. Maybe all the three servers might have the same PIM key or different PIM key. It's your choice. Based on that, you'll update the inventory. So here my PIM key was earlier this file. Let's imagine for all the say three servers, I went with the same key, but you have some XYZ key, you just update the XYZ key. Now, how we are going, and this is all I need, that's it, right? I need the key, username, and the address. Now this inventory file, it looks something like this. N1, node 1. I'm just representing the server alias. So instead of calling the big name, you can give some shortcut there and you can use that to call it. I'm just calling it as N1, which is this server. Ansible underscore host is equal to 172.31.10.20. Ansible underscore user CentOS. Ansible underscore SSH underscore private private underscore key file. That's what would be there in your inventory file. Like this, you'll have all the list of servers information in this inventory file. You have 100 servers, you have this 100 servers information, right? This info is going to be kept where means in this particular file called inventory file. Right, guys? So now inventory is nothing but what? It is the collection of all your servers, and the information required to connect to that servers is going to be placed in the inventory file. Right. Now, when I'm saying run ad hoc command or Ansible playbook, meaning what I said, they need to run the task. While defining the task, you will say which part of the inventory should be updated. You have, like you see how I went with N1, right? You can group them. I can group all the blue servers in one place, all the red servers in one place, all the green servers in one place. It's your choice, or all servers. Then you call the things. So according to this inventory, what our previous diagram was having three different colors, right? One was red. Let's say this is one group. Under this group, again, you got individual entities like N2, N3. So like this, let's imagine you have multiple of them. This is one group. Hope you got the point. Similarly, what another group, let's say blue group. It has N30, and let's say it has something like N40, like that. Like that, all the servers in one group. Your choice. It's up to you, because you are the one who knows how your infrastructure manually works. Then you can start applying these techniques. Then later, when I start running these commands, right, I'll target. How? Run ad hoc command on which part of the inventory? You want it to run it on N1, N2, or red group, blue group, your choice. Getting the point is? Here, imagine if I say N1, it will only target 20th server, which is this one, 10.20. No, run ad hoc command on, it targets all those red servers. Then you run it on all, it targets all the 100 servers. So it's completely up to your choice. Why? Because you know about your infra, like what you want to do. Accordingly, you go ahead and manage it. Now, what happens with this model? Maybe initially you will do the hard work for the first time when you are implementing it. But later in the long run, you don't need to go ahead and do the same work again and again and again. Did you get the point? Is so this configuration management, what they basically do end of the day is, if you have a large scale complex infrastructure, you want to minimize that complexity. And in the long run, manage the infrastructure as what do you say, simple as possible. So in that particular scenario, these configuration tools were given into the what do you say ecosystem. And yes, like I said, first time you need to do the hard work, but in the long run, it becomes very easier to go with. Clear? Yes. Now you see, I can't do any kind of. I already said this point also. In DevOps, each tool has its own essence. Every tool is there to solve a different problem. So I said, I can't use Jenkins in this approach. It is not meant to do this kind of things. If you have this kind of problems, large scale infrastructure automation, then at that point of time, you'll start using tools like this thing, like configuration management tools. And now whatever the Ansible we saw it comes under our configuration management patch. Right? Okay. So now this is how it works, right? I hope you got the understanding of it. So this is how actually Ansible works. You have something called like inventory. In the inventory, you define your infrastructure. Once the definition is done, then you start executing the tasks. So these tasks can be executed in both ways. Either you can use commands or you can use something called like playbooks. Right? We'll see like the difference once we get into the part there. Right? Then later we have also other lot of things inside this. Why? Because this Ansible, right? It is more like programming. Why? Because like I already said, it comes under the concept called as infrastructure as code, meaning you'll write everything in the code format here. Initially, I'll show you the commands that will help you understand the tool in a little bit easier way. Then later we will switch into the playbook mode where you need to start using the code to handle all these things. All right. Okay. So now the first thing. So how these playbooks work and are how these ad hoc commands go and work with it. So initially there are a few more things that we need to understand from the Ansible. So first I'll set it up. It's very simple and straightforward. What I'll do, I'll go with the same approach. I'll use one Ansible master. Then for today, I'll use couple of nodes. Then later we'll increase more nodes required for the approach. Why? Because once you have the setup ready, right, it's exactly same thing. Right? Okay. So first what I'll do here is here I'll launch 3 servers. We'll see it in action so that you'll easily understand how these things work also. Why? Because here there is not much theory to discuss. This is all about kind of what do you say, writing the code and seeing whether it affects our thing or not. Here I'm going with 3 instances. So one will be our what do you say, master and couple of nodes. I'll not add any tags. Security also, guys. For timing, I'm saying all security. Why? Because every time I'll keep on modifying the ports and everything, right? So instead, I'm going with all. But in Ansible, you don't need any special port. Ansible only 22 is required. For worker nodes, I'm thinking and applying it there. Why? Because I might change the ports and all that part, right? That's the reason why I'm going for all ports, right? But for your Ansible master, 22 is sufficient. You don't need anything else. Let the 3 servers come up now. Yeah. Let's call this as master. Right. So we got one master and couple of worker nodes to go with. Right. Now here, if I look at this command called Ansible, it says command not found. Right. So now the first thing, Ansible has a dependency. So there is something called like EPL release repository. First you need to install that, then you can go with the Ansible installation. And then later, all you need to do is just say, that's it. It's very simple and straightforward. You install EPL, then you install Ansible, and you're good to go with. Right? Only 2 steps. So if you want in Ansible, Ansible, right? Yes. All right. Okay. So once this part is done, right. Now let's look at our Ansible command. It started executing this, right? Okay. Now here, the first thing I said. So whenever you want to work with Ansible, we need something called like inventory. And I said inventory resides in the following path. /etc Ansible hosts. Now if I go with this one, better. I'll install my Vim editor. Let's say Vim /etc Ansible and hosts file, right? Okay. So this is where all the server information will be there. So this is the default inventory. You see, everything is commented out here. You don't see any information. And now you can see it here. Either you can go and give the host names like domain names, or you can give the IP addresses. These are individual things. Or you can group them using the following approach. This is a group of things. So if you want, right, So now how do we communicate with this inventory? Ansible. Show me all servers. List me all hosts. That's the command that you can use. And you can interchange them also. You can say Ansible list hosts all servers. You're getting exactly same thing. Reason why am I getting this? Because as of now in the inventory file, we don't have any server updated. It's empty. You add something, then it starts showing up. So what I'll do here is I'll go to this particular file. So wantedly, I'll just go ahead and I'll add something here. I added a couple of servers here. And like I said, you can also go and say addresses. Ten dot 11 and 10.12. Just a second, I think I did not give sudo command. Why? Because it is in the /etc directory. I'm going with sudo. So we added this, what do you say, 4 different addresses to go with. Ansible, list me all hosts. All I did was I just added 4 servers information. Like now you can start doing the target. If I want to execute some specific task on all, it means it will target all the 4 servers. No, you want to group them, your choice. You use the square braces and you go with the grouping. Now these are 2 different groups, one web group, one app group. Now when I target things saying only get it done on web, then it should target both IBM 1 and IBM 2. IBM Web 1, IBM Web 2. No, I want to target only app. No, I want to target all. Your choice. Getting the point? It's up to you. So how do you want to go ahead and affect the infrastructure? You can take the choice. Right? Yes. Now, this is what your inventory file. This now we need to check whether the information is actually, what do you say, connecting or not, right? So I need to say really these servers exist or not in the first place. So there you can use the following command. I'll tell you how this command goes. Right. So this will list you all the things like our, let's say, the specific pattern. Web, app, DB, whatever you want, you can go with it. Right. Now the next thing that I wanted to show you is Ansible -m ping the pattern. Okay, so generally what this ping indicates, whether your server can communicate with your master, master to worker nodes, can you communicate or not, based upon the pattern. You give all servers are able to communicate or not. Web, the first two servers are communicating or not. App, the last two servers are communicating or not. It's up to you. Right? Yes. Now here, what I'll go with the part is, now these are the 4 servers, but we are pretty sure this does not exist, right? I'm like, we just randomly given it there. So now if I try the same thing here, ping, then followed by my inventory. Let's say if I say something like app right now, we have those 2 servers, right? Now, if I go ahead and check this, you see, we are not getting any reply. Why? Because we know this servers does not exist in the first place. These are not real servers in the first place. You see, they are both unreachable. Why? Because like I said, this is a private address and it's not in our address range also. And you see, like I already said, it uses which port? Port 22. And that's the reason why we got the issue saying it got connection timed out. Right? Why? Because these are not real servers in the first place. So find what? I'll go ahead and properly modify my inventory with the machines that we have with us. We created a couple of worker nodes, right? Then we will bring those addresses and we'll update. And let's see if they are trying to ping it or not. These are not our real servers actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of them. In here, I'll add that is one node. Yep, that's my second node. Now try to ping it and see what's going to happen this time. Earlier it said straight away unreachable and connection got failed completely. Sorry. Yeah. Why? Because we removed that pattern, right? Yes. The pattern this time is web. You see, like our regular way it's asking, do you want to connect? Yes. Yes. But you see, this time also we are getting the same error. It says unreachable, but unlike the last part, it is saying connection timed out. And it is not able to initiate the connection in the first place. Here connection came, but you see what it is saying? Why? Because it does not know where these servers exist in the first place. Like how to connect to them, what is the username I should use, what is the key to go with, right? I said your inventory file should have information. Where did I go with? This one. Now this information you have never given up. Now I'll be keeping this in the proper format. So your inventory file, like I said, right? So always it should be updated in the following approach. Here always use private IP, guys. Why? Because if you go with public, every time it changes, every now and then you keep on going with the updating. So just use a private IP. Then I said Ansible underscore user. This user, you update it, you should know CentOS, Ubuntu, whatever the username you are going with. Then Ansible underscore SSH underscore private underscore key underscore file. Nothing but pep. You update this part, then you should be able to check the things out straight. Okay, now I'll just go with the same thing. Right, and now let's modify our inventory file. Now that is my address, but it's not properly configured. So what I'll do, N1 Ansible underscore host, which is private IP. So I'll add the first IP address. And we know our user is basically CentOS in order to do the communication. And then followed by my PEM key. Is this right? Okay, for first N1 I kept it, and N2 also. Okay, let's do some small modification. N2, and here it's going to be 3.175. And it's the same key and same part. Based upon your things, you just modify them. You just use that as a template to go with. Then later address, name, key, it's your choice. Okay. Now it has all the information, right? It knows where the server is. It knows what is the key, and it knows what is the username. Now I can start communicating once again. Obviously, right? PEM key is not there. So now I need to say where the PEM key is available in the first place. Right? It knows name is there, but it does not know where is the key. And we are pretty sure that will copy the key there. Right. Now I need to give the proper key location also. I know the key will be there in my home directory. Right. So what I'll do is I'll update it the key to this part. And I'll go with this config file. And this time I'm going to say /home. That's my home path. Right. Now the proper keys location is set out. Now I'll go with this ping. Now you can see N1 and N2, they are succeeded, meaning they are able to communicate with each other. Meaning now from our diagram perspective, this connection is established. All I did was nothing. I just took this particular template like this syntax. I just updated my address, my user, and my key properly. And then I said, go ahead and communicate with the list of nodes. And I said, you can group these particular nodes. It's your choice. However you want to group based upon your functionality, group of web, app, DB, application service, and just go ahead and set up the part there. Now this is just only the communication, that's it. Now all we did was we set up the infra, that's all. These are my two servers, or 200 servers, whatever the servers you have with, what you say, you need to update them with your Ansible master. And where you do that update is basically called as inventory file. Clear is? Now next time onwards, what? We are going to do the work. Now you know where the servers are, you know how to connect to them, you know their address, everything is set. Now I don't need to modify the inventory. Why? Because we went with private keys, sorry, private IPs, they'll never change. Next time onwards, I'll just gonna start, then slowly we'll start doing the work. What work? Whatever you want. You want to install, you want to modify, you want to remove, it's completely up to you. Based upon your requirement, we can get started with all these things. Right? Let's see, we got a few questions here. Does it have any flavor? It's not like flavor, Anand. Like Ansible Tower is the graphical interface of your Ansible. So whatever we are doing from the command line interface, Ansible Tower is a proprietary tool. It does the same thing using the graphical approach. Can a server be part of 2 or more groups? Yes, it can be. You can add multiple. So in our, according to our inventory part here, Yes, we can have a group in such a way that you can also have this kind of ability. A group can be like this, right? So you can go ahead and club what you say other servers as part of the same or different groups, right? What are we considering? Like I already said, Vijay, public IPs are kind of what you say ephemeral. So whenever you stop and start the server, they will change, right? So every time you need to keep on modifying the inventory file. Instead, you keep it private so that you don't need to worry about that part. Right? I hope you got the point. Right? Okay. Okay. Any other questions? So I hope you understood the major reason why we are going for this tool. So like I said, whenever we have this complex infra kind of thing, and you want the changes to be managed in a quick and efficient way in the long run, you'll never use configuration management for one time and you leave it. So it's a long run approach. So for pretty much sure you had a big infra and you want to control them and you want to have this control, in a precise manner. Why? Because like I said, it comes under the infrastructure as code, right? You can use Git and you can do the version control. I modified the port in my GitHub while updating. I'll say port modified to 8080. So all that particular thing is also auditable. Now in the future, your infra can also be checked out from GitHub, and directly with one command, all the infra can be ready with you. Like how you got the code and you said MVN package, which is giving you executable file. Exactly same way I'll say git clone my Ansible playbooks. I'll say Ansible playbook, apply the playbook. It starts applying across hundreds and one server, groups of servers, your choice. So the target is that one. End of the day, we'll see all these bits and pieces, and then later you'll see in the long run, you can effectively use Ansible to control your infrastructure. That's the main purpose of configuration management. Right? Yes. All right. Okay. Let's see.
Hi, Ravi.
Yeah, Chaitanya, go ahead.
Why are you installing EPL release before installing the Ansible?
It's the kind of prerequisite. Ansible requires EPL, where basically extra packages would be available.
Okay.
I'm not saying, like, documentation says it. Already Ansible says that you need EPL release, then you'll install Ansible on top of it. Right? Yes. Right. Any other questions? Yes.
So what's the main difference between Ansible, what we are using, and the Tower? Tower has like, do we have like license something or?
Yes, it's a proprietary tool. It's more for graphical interface. You are not interested in command line approach. In AWS, we got the same thing, right? You go and click the button, say create task, create, but like in the Jenkins part. That's the same thing for Ansible Tower.
We can do everything with the Ansible, what Ansible Tower is able to do? Or is there any limitations with the Ansible, what we are using?
Not limitations, it's user friendly, you can say. It's more user friendly.
Yeah, but all the tasks which we are doing with the Ansible, we can, is there any task which Ansible Tower can perform, but not Ansible?
I'm not sure about, like, I'm really not used Ansible Tower much. Mine is more on the graphical, command line interface. So it's a proprietary tool. Actually, I never worked with it. Most of my work was completely on command line interface itself. So people who are not very much into CLI mode and they are not interested in CLI, right? They switch to Ansible Tower actually.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Hi Ravi.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Go ahead.
Actually, we are Jenkins. We are using working nodes, right? Worker nodes.
Correct.
In the same way, Ansible also having worker nodes, and those worker nodes need to connect to Jenkins worker nodes.
It depends. See, Jenkins, like I already said, so it's temporary purpose, right? Build is temporary. But whatever we are doing with Ansible, these are not temporary servers. That's the difference. See, in Jenkins, what your build is done, then it's your choice. You want to have the worker node or not, it's up to you. But here, after your task is done, right? So these are going to be permanent. So there are servers which we are working from, Jenkins, right? Those are more about just for building purpose.
Okay, like
But
testing.
here, this is completely different approach. So once the build is retried there, I'm not really sure like whether I need those servers or not.
Okay, but we can
Does
connect
this
to,
Ansible?
Sorry.
but we can connect to those things and we can work on it, right?
Yes, of course. Let's imagine that you have your what do you say, worker node. Now using Ansible, you can install Git. Using Ansible, you can install Java. Using Ansible, like I said, you have like so many prerequisites.
Yes.
You don't need to do this each and every time, right? I'll write an Ansible playbook, I'll apply it. It will make sure all the configuration is done. Now, those configured servers, you can use it as a part of your, what do you say, Jenkins workload as well if you want.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Right? Yes, that can be done, no problem. Why? Because at the end of the day, again, the same piece of information. Like I said, that IP, your username and what do you say, key is there, then you should be able to connect with them.
Okay, thanks.
Right? Yeah.
So with the Ansible, we can also connect to the Windows servers. Does
Yes.
it require any special port, or how we need to like document the host inventory?
It's same thing. There is not much difference, but you need to make sure Python is installed on your Windows machines. Why?
But
Because
what port it needs to be communicating? Like
Double-3.
SSH is only for non-Windows, right?
Oh, yes, Windows, it uses a different port. Okay, let me check. Even I'm not sure about that. $5986. Yeah.
Okay, so it's doing HTTPS.
It does not
Yeah.
support graph, what do you say, GUI pattern. So it goes with a different approach. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Fine, yes, then. This is what we went with it. So in the next part, what I'll start doing is, now you got to know how this tool works. Next thing is, how am I going to offload the work to this worker nodes? So tasks include like whatever we learned in our previous sessions, like all the operation tasks we did in your earlier sessions, right? Now we're going to do all that using Ansible mode. So now, instead of using your regular Linux commands, you'll go with Ansible commands first. Then later you'll convert them into Ansible playbooks. Thereafter, you'll start using playbooks. That would be the what do you say, approach we'll be taking up. All right. Okay.
So Ravi, can you add me to the documents? Like I don't have the access to documents for some reason.
No, like from these sessions, I'm following a different
Yeah.
approach and I'm not having the time to go with documentation. So actually, I'm sending the documents to admin people. They're adding them to your, what do you say, these videos itself. You have these Google Classroom videos, right? In the bottom of that video, you're having these notes actually, this thing, what I'm writing and all this part. You can just check it from there.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, Gautam, go ahead.
Sir, what actually is Ansible Tower, sir? And how it is different from generic Ansible?
That's what I said. It's basically a graphical based tool. So if you see the tower, right, it gives you more, what do you say? So whatever you'll write in the code. So you did not see the things, right? So first you see the Ansible, then you'll see like how the tower works later.
Okay.
You'll define the tools here. Yes. Simply in Ansible tower, you'll say number of hosts, where to connect. You'll give all this kind of information. You'll be doing all this in the graphical interface. The only difference that we are trying to do is from the command line here. And Ansible tower, we are not having it. Why? Because it comes under proprietary part. We are only going with Ansible, not the tower.
No, got it.
Right? Okay. Chalo, okay. See you guys then. In next class, we'll start going with this approach, right? Yeah. Thank you.